session's on Saturday, so I was practicing.
Okay, okay. No. Keep it.
Scholarship organizations, mostly, but I never had taken my speaking to a level of this. We're waiting on the speaker still. I'm just practicing for my session on Saturday.
Okay.
You're here to take pictures?
Yes, sure. Why not?
Oh. Oh. I'm like, huh?
Very good.
These will be posted on the WEF site.
They will put on the photographs. Social media is also working on.
Oh, cool.
So they take the photographs and then put it on tomorrow.
Okay.
In the night they will put it on and you can see it on morning.
Okay.
Okay.
How long have you been with the conference?
Sorry?
How long have you been with the conference? Is this your first time?
Sorry?
Is this your first time here?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And yours?
Yep, it's my first.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you. Oh, I needed more batteries.
चालू हो गया चालू हो गया
Can you take a picture of me? I'll put this back. Can you take a picture of me? using this? Hello. Yes.
Hi, so first I want to start out by my name is Taylor Tucker. I'm an African American. I'm a woman. I'm an industrial and systems engineering student. I'm a scholar. Gates Millennium Scholar. And most importantly for you all, or for this session, I'm 22 years old. I'm a millennial. How many you do? And most importantly for this session, I'm 22 years old. I'm a millennial. So why does any of this matter to you? Why do you care? Why should you care? Millennials are the largest group of people on this earth. Meaning we are the future leaders of the world. It's in our hands. Literally. So what does this mean? And so, what many people struggle to figure out is how are millennials going to lead the world? We're so scatterbrained, right? We have so many influences, technologies all around us, feeding us all different types of ideas, 24/7. So what does our purpose look like? And how are we defining our purposes? Well, I have 3 guiding principles to how I have defined mine, and how peers have done the same.
I'm not the speaker. I'm not the speaker. I'm the volunteer.
नहीं, you are the volunteer. Okay.
But
Session वाले नहीं आए अभी.
What did you say?
This जिनका session है, वो is not coming here.
She's not coming here?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
So this session's canceled?
I think so.
Okay. I'll just practice in here. For
Yeah, बिल्कुल sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Taylor Tucker.
Yeah, they said the session's canceled. The session's
It's
canceled.
going to start now?
The session's
No
canceled.
session?
Yeah, she can't. She's not gonna come. They said.
She's not here.
No.
Okay.
I know.
It is cancelled.
Yeah, I think so. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna double check to make sure. But yeah, she hasn't come yet.
But you from okay, you were here as a audience.
I'm volunteer.
Oh.
Yeah.
You from which country?
United States. No, I've always been from. I'm African American. Yeah. So I don't know which African country I'm from.
What are you going to do? Camera on ही है.
Oh yeah, I'm a student. I'm in university. North Carolina A&T State University. Industrial Systems Engineering. Okay.
This company help international patients who wanted to come to
Oh.
for the medical treatment.
Wow. Okay.
So US is I think a very big
market for us. So this is maybe if you can, there are a lot of patients from US who come to India for heart surgery and for knee replacement surgery and hip replacement surgery. So if you know, if you refer me any patient from Carolina who want to come to India to any healthcare hospitals, in that case you can refer us as a company. We can help them in everything.
For sure.
I mean on WhatsApp.
Oh, what's up? Okay, yeah.
We have send me hi. Your name? Hi. From US. So I'll just revert back to you.
Okay.
So North Carolina is one of the very good universities in the US. Not only US, it's in top 200 universities in the world. So you're doing a bachelor degree or a master's?
Bachelor.
First year?
No, not fourth year.
So it's last year?
Well, I'm doing one more year. Yeah, I'm going to do a fifth year.
But most of the bachelor degrees are from 3 years.
Yeah, usually I'm doing the extra year because I transferred schools. So, yeah. But yes, I'll definitely add you on WhatsApp.
But in US, life is different. It's a crazy country.
Yeah.
It's a very crazy country. I have been to US last year. I've been to San Francisco.
Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved so much. I did not want to come back to India again.
Really?
Yeah, so, but just because of my mom, I came. So,
very cool. You're from Delhi?
I'm from Bangalore. Have you been to Bangalore?
No.
Well, Bangalore is one of the most global cities from India.
Really? How far is it
Very
from
high
Delhi?
tech. 2 hours flight.
Oh, dang, so it's far.
2 hours flight.
I have to go to the washroom. I'm gonna add you there. What's up?
Okay. No, thank you.
Thank you. Let me turn off this light.
All right.
સાધુ સેશન લાગતું નહીં ચાલવા
these are like not brand. And compressor is just behind this. There's a fan here for two shelves. So simply either cans or either step. I think there also approximate we are looking at this much space. And this is this much in width. Yeah.
But this would be longer.
We'll make it longer.
Because इसके अंदर see this is just got more storage because it's a compressor पीछे है. So we have to take the whole width of that. So on this side of the thing, when you're making this,
Right.
you can maybe take this slightly.
Because shelf है ना वो साइड में.
This has to be
तो
longer.
फिर वो जितने में कंप्रेसर वो सेकंड शेल्फ रहेगा उससे अंदर डेप्थ आ जाएगी. So we have not procured them directly. One of the water company has paid it. But to them that is just 20,000 per unit. मुझे नहीं पता उसमें negotiation किया नहीं किया.
It's not bad at all.
It's nice. फंक्शनल इसमें ये पता नहीं स्टील है या क्रोम है क्या है और इसको ये तो पाउडर कोटेड. हाँ जो भी पाउडर कोटेड जो करवाना है वाइट होगा तो वाइट आ जाएगा ब्लैक होगा तो ब्लैक आ जाएगा. तो ये होगा ना गाइस का पता. हाँ मैं आपको दे दूँगा. प्रोफेसर को हाँ
Or you want to take it in the back.
but वो bit the depth
In the entire back. In the entire back. That is more first.
like the entrance है ऑटो में.
नहीं तो पीछे वाला लोग पीछे है. हमारे बॉटल डिस्प्ले के पीछे.
नहीं पर वो width कितनी है उसको तो ये
उसे कुछ देर अंदर मतलब कितना कर सकता है.
that will be what doesn't like that. So you will get more
space. And that gets space.
Yeah.
Otherwise, should we do a rail there?
Then you have to turn back.
Rail has to be back. Otherwise, it has to be back.
ये 5 मिनट लगते 5 बंदा बैठा तो कैमरा लगा
आज वाले सारी मीटिंग रूम में करने के बाद तो आएगा ना को मीटिंग 1 2 3 और कर देना, ठीक है? को मीटिंग 1 2 3 अपनी ये खाली बोतलें निकालते हैं सारी कैसे निकालने के बाद 1 2 3, हाँ ये निकालना को मीटिंग 1 2 3 से निकालते हैं, बड़ी तरह चार तरफ पढ़ पाते हैं।
बाकी एयरलाइंस इतने डीप के मुझे पड़ेगा।
One. Check. Hello. Check. One.
फूल हम ध्यान रखते हो पहले उसको लाइव चालू है
नेक्स्ट सेशन
7:15 को है
मगर नेहा का तो खत्म हो गया ना
हाँ ये तो 6 से 7 6 का 7 का
हाँ
6 से 7 का था ये तो
इनका 6 से 7 का था
बोले था मैं
तो ये तो हो गया एंड नेक्स्ट वन शुरू होने वाला है ना हेलो
This one.
Are you Miss Burgess?
Yes.
Yes, hi, I'm the volunteer here. I'm going to help you around.
Oh,
Yes, my
great.
name is Ritu.
Ritu? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So, let me go get a few people from outside and
Okay.
we'll start in a bit.
Excuse me. Excellent, thank you.
Please sit down. Yeah, I will. Thank you. Good to see leadership. Yeah.
Fresh out of water. Oh, there are a couple in the very back then. Would you mind getting them? How are you doing?
Very well. What about you?
Very good.
Great.
Yeah, a little tired, jet lag.
Yeah.
But
You arrived this morning?
a couple days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And where's home for you?
Bangalore?
So how long is that from here? How far?
2.5 hours.
Oh, not bad.
Yeah, we left this early morning, but we are also jet lagged. Yeah, because we left very early in the morning.
Well, it's good to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. I'm Bhavna.
Pradnya and Gloria.
Nice to meet you too. Yeah. Would you remember this hall number? CM?
C9.
C9. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Hello.
हेलो
This is home for you?
Yeah, I live very close to very close to the airport. So I've been born here and raised here. I'm Soumya. What's your good name?
I'm Gloria.
Gloria. Amazing. That's a glorious name.
Yes, it is.
I mean,
Do we need the mic?
I like it.
Okay.
I don't know, is this mic connected to what you're doing? Or?
It is connected. I can see the green light. Okay. Sorry.
Hello. Good evening. I'm going to take a moment and introduce Dr. Gloria Burgess, an inspirational speaker from the US who's going to talk on legacy leadership. Thank you for being here. They were choosing between this and entrepreneurship. I said, please come here. We're going to make your life count. Yeah, so without any more ado, I'm going to give you the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome to my session, Legacy Leadership, Make Your Life Count. I know that you have many choices this time of the evening, so I really appreciate you being here. This is an honor and a blessing to be able to talk about two of my favorite subjects, legacy and leadership. And I have to say that, I talk about this a lot, and people are very confused about both legacy and leadership. So let's just talk a little bit about both of those. When I say the word legacy, what do you think of? I mean, what comes to mind for you when I say that word, legacy? What does that mean?
Family history.
Family history.
Yeah.
Like a name.
Like a name. Say more about that.
Like a name, like how would they define Ruth when she's left her role, left her job,
Okay, so
what name have I built for myself?
What name have I built for myself when I leave my job or whatever, my family or
something by which I'm remembered for, even like decades after I die.
Something you remembered for decades after you died.
Like such a significant contribution.
Yes. Because of all of those little footprints that we leave behind. So I think of legacy as something that I call a sweet fragrance of our presence, here and now, and for all time. So here and now, as well as for all time. And leadership, when I think about leadership, the first thing I think of is that we have to lead who? We have to lead ourselves, right? So a lot of us think about leadership as being connected to a title or a designation, something that we work towards, and that's one definition of leadership. And another one is that we are in charge of ourselves. We don't have to have a title. Some people talk about leadership as an action. So you can be a leader from any place in your life, from your family, from your work life, in your community. So legacy and leadership. Legacy and leadership. The real goal is to be conscious and intentional about the actions that we engage in today, because that shapes somebody else's tomorrow. Okay, every phone call we make, every conversation we have, every email we send, we are impacting somebody else's life. Okay? And so I like to think about, sometimes we think about that legacy being at the end of our life, and maybe somebody getting up at your funeral to say wonderful things about you, hopefully, right? And the only trouble with that particular notion of legacy is that you are there, but you're not alert enough to enjoy what people are saying about you. Yeah. So that's where the consciousness and the intentionality come in. So let me tell you a little bit about my story so that you know who's talking in front of you, okay? So I was born in the United States in a small rural town in the deep south, in a state called Mississippi. Now, have any of you ever been to the U.S.?
Yeah.
Okay, a few of you. And do you know about the Deep South?
Yes.
Okay, so when I was a little girl, I actually thought that I lived in an all-black town. Okay, all African Americans. I didn't know what segregation was. Okay, I was born at a time when blacks lived over here and the whites lived over here. And the way that I knew, the way that I found out about segregation was every Saturday, my family would go to what I thought was the other town. Okay, the all-white town. And we would do our shopping, and we would actually have to go in through the back door. Okay, not the front door, we would have to go in through the back door, and we would have to call the shopkeepers Mr. and Mrs. Robertson, or Mr. and Mrs. Henderson, or Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. But the shopkeepers always called my parents by their first name. Okay? And, even as a little kid, you don't have words for what's happening, but there's something kind of wiggly about it, right? It's like, ooh, what's going on in here? Kind of sticky and wiggly, and it made my gut just go, right? And I remember as a little girl making a vow to myself. I said, one day when I grow up, how when you're a little kid, you kind of put your hands on your hips and you do this kind of thing, and you make these vows, you make these promises. And I said, when I grow up, I'm going to make it impossible for anybody to treat me or my sisters or my mom and dad differently simply because of the color of our skin. Now, again, I didn't have language for what I'm talking about now. But even back then, I was building my legacy. Right? I was leaving that fragrance, that footprint. Okay? And so that's how I move in the world today. I remember when I was growing up, we had moved from the South now to the North, to a state called Michigan. And I remember the kids teasing me. I remember the teachers not paying attention to me. And I remember things like, you'll never amount to anything. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't have the right kind of hair. Okay? You think of it that was something negative or toxic, and that's what I received as a little girl. Now, looking back on all of those moments, going through the back door, having my parents called by their first names, having me treated like I didn't exist sometimes. All of those moments, all of those events, all of the people in my life, as an adult, when I look back on it, I'm actually grateful. If you can believe that. Yeah, I'm grateful for those moments because those moments shaped me and formed me into the person I am today. As a daughter, as a sister, as a mama, as a wife, as an educator, as a consultant, as a community servant. So I'm very, very grateful for those moments. And when I think about my life now as a leader and as a creative artist, I see this pattern. I see this pattern in my life. And it's not only in my life, it's in your life too, this pattern. And I like to call the pattern the creative process. The creative process. And the pattern reveals itself into what I call sacred promises. Now, I've studied creativity, and I've studied leadership, and I actually teach both, and I have for the past several decades, okay? And the pattern is identical, whether we're talking about creative artistry or whether we're talking about leadership. The pattern is identical. And so the pattern, again, I call sacred promises because they're promises that we make to ourselves, they're promises that we make to other people, and they're promises that we make to God. Right? So I call them covenants or sacred promises. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these promises this evening. The promises are these: gratitude, faith, love, vision, integrity, creative action, and legacy. I'll say them again. Gratitude, faith, love, vision, integrity, creative action, and legacy. Now, if you know anything about creativity, you will see those middle promises just about anywhere. Okay? To give birth to anything, whether it's a product, a new idea, a new business, right? You need faith, okay? You gotta take that giant step, that leap of faith, right? You need vision, you need passion, you need integrity, and you need action. So all of those pieces are there. And the pieces that I've added, because they're part of who I am, part of my cultural heritage, part of my family of origin, are gratitude and legacy. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about each one of these, but before I do, I'm going to ask you a question. Okay? And then I want to have you look at the sacred promises as I talk about them through the lens of how you answer that question. Okay? You ready? So get out a sheet of paper, something to write with if you don't have something out already. Okay? Something to write with, and a piece of paper. Do you need something to write with over there?
Yes, please. Okay. If you have.
Yeah, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There are more pencils.
Okay.
Okay. You did wait, thanks.
Okay, so here's the question. What is your dream for your life? Everybody has a dream, right? So what is your dream for your life? Now, that's the question. Don't answer it quite yet. Okay? So I'm not talking about what's the little baby next step that you want to take. Okay? And I'm not talking about something that you sort of like. I'm talking about big, hairy, audacious dream. Okay? Something that you are passionate about. Something that you wake up every morning and you're saying, I can't wait to get out of bed! Right? So what are you passionate about? What do you care about? And make that your dreamscape. Okay? So what is your dream for your life? And just jot a note about that. And as I talk about these sacred promises, you can add on to your response. Okay? If you're so moved to do that. So let me talk a little bit about gratitude. What is gratitude? What do we mean by gratitude? Be thankful. Yeah, what else?
Appreciating what we already have.
Appreciating what we already have.
And in advance for something which we want.
Yes, or in advance for something that we want. Yeah. Okay, good. Anything else about gratitude?
It fills your heart. It's a feeling which fills your heart.
It's a feeling that fills your heart. Yeah.
Your heart overflows.
Say again?
Your heart overflows with that feeling.
Yes, your heart overflows with that feeling. Yeah, I could do an entire session just about gratitude. Okay, that's how much there is to say about it. But for this evening, let me just tell you a few things more about gratitude. Okay, I like to think of gratitude as a relationship. Okay, a relationship with people, a relationship with place, and a relationship with time. So people, place, and time. What do I mean by that? So we've already talked about being thankful, being appreciative, having our heart overflow with gratitude, right? Gratitude is about the people who came before us, right? In my culture, we talk about the ancestors and standing on the shoulders, right, of the ancestors. Somebody came before us. I wouldn't be here in this room with you this evening without many somebodies, really, making incredible sacrifices so that I could be here with you today. Now you're nodding, so I see that you get this, right? Another way that I think about the relationship to people is that gratitude of origin are African, Indian, not this kind of Indian, but Native American Indian, okay, and Celtic. And in all of those cultures, we think about time as a progression, not as distinct units, past, present, and future. Okay, we think about them as a progression, and actually we think about them as a continuum. Okay, so that the past is not really past. The present is all around us, and the future is already here. Okay? So again, we bring the ancestor presences, we bring the children's presences into our notion of time. So we have a number of people here in this room, 7 or 8 of us, right? But we really have many, many more presences in this room. Okay? You brought probably 4 or 5 people with you, right? You've brought 4 or 5, maybe 4 or 5 for you, 2 or 3, 10, who knows, right? But we bring the presences of our parents or whoever raised us. We bring the presences of our grandparents, of our siblings, of our children, of our unborn children. And so, in these cultures, we think about the continuum because the presences of the ancestors are always, always with us. The presences of the children, those young people who loaned us this wonderful blue and green marble that we call planet Earth. Okay? It wasn't given to us, it was loaned to us by our children. And so again, we think about all of those presences. Geography. You've heard me mention Africa, you've heard me mention Celtic as part of my heritage, right? American Indian. So I think about those places, those geographies, if you will. And my heart longs for those places. I remember the first time I went to Kenya. This was about 10 years ago. Would you mind checking this out and see if it's blinking?
I think it's got a loose connection.
Okay. So can you hear me without microphones?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very well? Okay, thank you. So when I went there about 10 years ago, I remember flying into Nairobi. And I remember looking down from the plane window. And I saw like red dirt roads, and I saw these green terraced hills. And thank you so much. And I thought that this is still not working.
No, voice is allowed without you.
Okay, that's okay, Sharon, thank you. And what I remember thinking as we descended, I was in this huge, 747, this jumbo jet, right? And I remember as we were descending, I was actually thinking about my Mississippi home. Okay, the red dirt roads there, the terraced hillsides. There were so many similarities. When I landed in Nairobi, we were greeted by, so I was part of a delegation of African American women going there to exchange ideas and to learn more about our cultural heritage. And when we arrived, we were greeted by several members of Parliament. And he took us into his home, one of the parliamentarians, and we formed this huge circle. And they had a basin and a pitcher of water, and we poured libation to give thanks for the ancestral spirits who were supporting us, who were welcoming us to Kenya. Thank you so much. Thank you. I remember when we went to some of the villages outside of Nairobi, several hundred miles outside of Nairobi. Again, I was with this delegation of women, 15, 16 women, and we were always greeted by these incredible women and men in the village. And I'm going to put this down and leave it down. All right. So, and we couldn't figure out where all the food came from. Because when we went to the kitchen, you know how women are. They're kind of nosy. We go around. We were trying to figure out, how did they make all this food? I mean, we had this huge room just lined like a banquet, okay, with all different kinds of foods, mutton and chicken and fish and all kinds of fresh vegetables, but we didn't see any stoves. And so I'm particularly nosy, so I kept kind of nosing around, and I saw in the back of this little tiny kitchen a door that had no door. Okay, it was open to the air, but there was no door, to close it. So I kind of peeked out, and there, lined up behind the house, was about 8 or 9 women.
8 or 9?
8 or 9 women.
Women. Huh?
Yes, cooking in these huge black pots over an open fire. That was the kitchen. So these women in the village had come to welcome us and to bring food and to make food for us. I know, wow, how cool is that, right? So geographies and the connection of all of the experiences that I had in Kenya, all of the sights, all of the sounds, all of the colors to my Mississippi home was just an incredible blessing for me. So gratitude. Now gratitude is one of the highest, what we call vibrations or frequencies on the planet. Okay, I'm not getting woo-woo on you. Okay, but every emotion, every word actually has an energy, a vibration, a vitality, a presence, soul, right? And gratitude is one of those words that just embraces all of these energies. So it's a big, big frequency, big energy. And I always say that if you get gratitude right, you get the other things for free. Okay? So if you get gratitude right, you get the other things for free. Part of gratitude is forgiveness. Okay? Part of gratitude is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement. Like looking someone in the eye. You know, like when you came in and you said, hello, right? And I hopefully looked you back in the eye. I didn't do one of these like little drive-bys, right? Okay? But really acknowledging you, looking at you, right? So let's go on to faith. Faith is about taking that first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. Okay? So it's about taking that first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. In dance, we talk about taking leaps of faith. We talk about the floor actually rising up to meet you. Okay? The floor rising up to meet you. So faith is all about putting it out there. Putting it out there. Whatever it happens to be. And going even though you don't know exactly what the next step is going to be. Okay? The next promise is love. Love. And I could say many, many things about love. Love is also connected to gratitude. Okay, it's one of what we call the many arms of gratitude. Love. Okay? And love is actually the highest frequency. Okay? On the planet. Okay? So love is about many, many things. How many of you have ever been in love?
How many of you?
Have ever been in love? Yeah, everybody. Okay, so you know what that feels many times over. Yes. So we know what that feels like, right? When we're in love, we kind of get all gushy and blushy, you know. And, yeah. So Marian Woodman is a Jungian psychologist, and she says the same thing that Rumi used to say. And she says, when you are in love with a person, place, thing, or cause, doesn't matter what it is, you burn with the fire that requires no fuel. Yeah. How cool is that, right? So love is about bringing our passion. It's also about self-love. Okay? That's a beginning point, especially for women. Okay? Because some of us have been kind of, dissed a little bit or a lot, okay, or put down or whatever, and we develop this esteem, but it's not self-esteem. It's usually like other esteem, and what other people can see. Okay? It's about having that incredible dream, right? And you go for it, even though your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, your best friend is saying, don't do that. Okay? Are you crazy? What are you thinking? You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay? But it's having that vision and that sense of destiny, that sense of purpose, right? And we keep moving in the direction of that dream. Anyway, in spite of all the naysayers. In U.S. culture, we have a saying, maybe you know this saying here. We say, seeing is believing.
Yes.
Okay, so you know that. Well, for vision, we kind of flip the script. Okay, seeing is believing? No. It's believing is seeing.
That's right.
Believing is seeing. Okay, so you see beyond, you see further. When my father was a little boy, they said that he could see to the other side of the mountain. Okay? He could see what other people could see. He could see to the other side of the mountain. Most of the people could see maybe the bottom of the mountain. Some people didn't even know there was a mountain there. So vision has many, many different aspects as well. The next promise I want to talk about is integrity. Now, for leaders, integrity is huge.
That's right.
What do we mean by integrity? What do you think of?
Honesty.
Honesty. Yeah, that's one of the aspects of integrity.
Leading by example.
Yes, leading by example. Walking your talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a big aspect of consistency. So
Big aspect of consistency.
Yeah,
walking your talk, okay? And your talk has got to be aligned. Yeah? That's what walking your talk means, right? Okay, what are some other aspects of integrity?
Being true to yourself.
Being true to yourself. Yeah, so honesty with other people and honesty being true with yourself, right? Being able to be a truth teller.
Yeah.
Okay, being able to speak truth to power. All right? Integrity comes from the root word integer. Integer. We have any mathematicians in here? You know what integer means?
Is it zero?
Zero. Yeah, it's a whole number.
Yeah.
Right? So another aspect of integrity that we don't often talk about is wholeness. Is wholeness. Okay? So we're talking about being able to be self-aware of all the different beautiful parts that we have. Okay? All the different selves. All right? And not only being aware, but bringing all of who we are to our conversations, to our relationships, to our jobs, okay, to our engagement with other people, in our work as community servants, community stewards. Okay? Another aspect of wholeness is looking at the collective. So it's not just about me. So wholeness in the sense of everybody in this room. Right? We're looking at the collective. So if I were in an organization, I'd be thinking about my team or my division, right? Or my entire organization, depending on, what scope of responsibility I have, right? So wholeness in the sense of self, wholeness in the sense of the collective. Creative action is the next sacred promise. Now, creative action is huge. Many of us have goals, okay? Many of us have dreams, thank you. Right? But it takes creative action to put those dreams, those goals into motion. Okay? We say that a dream without a plan is a hallucination. Right? A dream without a plan is a hallucination. Say it. Yes, yes. So creative, I'm sorry?
It's a wishful thought.
Foolish talk?
Wishful thought.
Oh, wishful thought, wishful thinking. Yeah, wishful thinking. So creative action is like putting, some juice in your car. Okay? Whether it's gas or electricity or, something else these days, right? Okay? It will not go without some kind of fuel. All right? And so it's creative action because we are all creators. We are all creators. Okay? Creators with a little c. Okay? That's how we manifest our dreams. That's how we bring our dreams into reality, into fruition, through creative action. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story about my father. And I think that my father embodies all of these sacred promises. When he was a little boy, I said earlier that people would say he could see to the other side of the mountain, right? And the reason they said that was because when he was about 4 or 5 years old, my father had 2 dreams. Now, for a little black boy in the rural South, in Mississippi, these were big, bad, audacious dreams. He wanted to live in a house with running water. There was no such thing for blacks in the South at that time. And he wanted more than anything to go to college. Now, this was in the 1930s. Dreams like that there could get you killed. But that didn't faze my dad. He would talk to anybody about his dreams. Didn't matter what you looked like. Didn't matter where you came from. He would be right up next to you saying, he would tell you about his dream. Okay? So now he's a young man, and he's working as a janitor. at the University of Mississippi in his hometown of Oxford. And he's still talking about his dreams. Now, this is in the 1950s. He can work at Ole Miss, but he can't go to school there because it's still segregated. All right? But guess what? He's still talking to people about his dreams. If you're a student, my dad would be like right up next to you telling you, about his dream, right? If you're a professor, he's going to be talking to you about his dream. Well, we have a little game in the U.S. that we call telephone, where you tell somebody and you tell somebody else. You got that game? You know what I'm talking about? Ah, okay. Yeah. And one of those somebodies who heard about my father's dream was one of the deans at Ole Miss. And he said, I really want to meet this young man. And when he met my father, he said, Mr. McEwen, tell me about your dreams. And my father did. Now, did you hear what I said? He said, Mr. McEwen.
Yes.
Okay? He didn't call him by his first name. That's a clue. Right? And he said, you have fire in your belly. You're passionate. You're determined. I see that you believe in God. He said, I think I know somebody who can help you with your dream. And that gentleman was a famous author who lived just at the edge of Oxford in a place called Roanoke. Anybody ever heard of William Faulkner? Yeah. He was one of the most important authors of the 20th century, right? And at the time that he met my father, he was a Nobel laureate. He was a Pulitzer Prize winner. He didn't have anything to gain, in other words, right? But he really wanted to meet my father. So my father walked up to Roanoke. In those days, you didn't, pick up a cell phone. He didn't have a cell phone anyway. He didn't even have a regular phone, right? But you would go, they say, pay a visit. Okay, so he walked up to Roanoke to visit Mr. Faulkner. And when Faulkner saw him coming, he says, oh, Mr. McEwen, come. I can't wait to meet you. Tell me about your dreams. And my father told him about his dream of living in a house with running water and going to college. And he said, well, where do you want to go to school? And he said, Alcorn, A&M. And Faulkner said, that's a mighty good school for blacks. He said, I would like to pay for your tuition, your room and board. I know you're married with 3 little girls. I want to get you and Millie a job. We'll even send clothes so you don't have to worry about pocket money. Now, what do you think my father said?
He said he'll work for his pocket money.
Ah, he'll work for his pocket money. Yeah. He said, no, sir. Now, I'm 1 year old. I'm a little babe in arms, and I'm going, what is it? This is a lifelong dream. Right? And he said, no, sir, I can't accept your generous offer. I don't know how I can ever pay you back. And Faulkner just said, oh, Mr. McEwen, I don't expect you to pay me back. He said, you just pass this blessing on to somebody else when you're able to do so. And that's how my father lived his life. Anyway, that fall, I and my 2 older sisters and my mom and my father went to Alcorn. Creative action, integrity, being true to who you are, faithfulness, hanging on to that dream all those years and telling everybody about it. Right? Love, passion. My father just had a burning desire to learn and to pass that learning on to other people. In fact, if he was here right now, he'd be sitting right next to you saying, do you have your GED? Do you have your associate's degree? Do you have your undergraduate? How about your graduate degree? Oh, you got a graduate degree? Well, you need another one. Okay? I'm just saying. Okay? He would be all over this room, encouraging everybody. This man was a lifelong learner. So the sacred promises all go together. Gratitude, faith, love, vision, integrity, creative action. And they all culminate in our legacy, in the footprint that we leave every single day. Right? This is how you make your life count. So these promises are not linear, sequential, even though that's how, we just talked about them. They actually are more like an orchestra. Okay, more like an orchestra. They all go together. You can have a trumpet solo. Okay? But again, a dream without a plan. What you going to do with that? Right? So they all go together. Now, I'm going to ask you to take a look again at that question that I asked you earlier. What is your dream for your life? What are you passionate about? What makes you want to just go like, yeah! Can't wait to do that. Right? And I invite you to look through the lens of these sacred promises. If you were to take that next step to make your dream a reality, to bring your dream into fruition, to realize that dream, what would that be for you? Okay? And importantly, which one of the promises would be helpful to you to help you take that next step? So draw yourself a circle on your paper. And make it pretty big, half page, third of a page, something like that. And divide your circle up into 6 pieces, like a pie. Like slice it up into a pie. 6 pieces. And then around the outside edge, once you have your pie slices, just draw another little circle. So if we were having pie, this would be like the pie crust. Okay? Hi, welcome. And inside that pie crust, write the word legacy. Write the word legacy. So legacy, sort of like the pie crust, contains everything else. And the pie slices would be all of the other sacred promises. So there'd be a slice of gratitude, a slice of love, a slice of vision, integrity, creative action, and so on. Okay? So think about your dream. Think about your big, bad dream, the one that you're passionate about. Okay? And which sacred promise would help you get to that next step? Now I'm going to tell you a little baby story about my dream and which slice of the pie I think I need. Okay, so as I talk, you can kind of think about which slice of the pie would you need. So my dream has always been to help others find their voice. Okay, to help them live into their fullest and highest potential. And so that's my dream. That's my calling. That's my vocation. Okay, not necessarily my work, but my calling. Okay, so wherever I show up, I'm kind of like Dad. I'm talking to everybody about, you might want to consider this or that. It's like, you didn't ask me for advice, right? I just give it. Okay, because that's how I'm wired. That's how I'm designed, right? Okay, so the next step for me in realizing a part of my dream is to, I'm going to say create a movement. Okay, I just found a publisher for the book that I wrote about my father and Faulkner probably 15 years ago. Okay, when you're a creative artist, you got to hang on to stuff. Okay, and I hung on and I hung on and I hung on until I found the just right publisher. So the book is now going into print. It'll be available later this year. But I don't want just a book. Okay? I didn't know that when I was writing it. I thought just the book was going to be okay. Well, now that the book is done and I have a publisher, I'm thinking about, how can we create a movement to help people hang on to their dreams so that they can realize their highest and fullest potential. Right? So my next step with this book, which is called Pass It On, is to create a Pass It On movement. Right? And so I am so grateful I'm here at WEF because I've been to several sessions about how to build a movement. Yeah. Right? Soaking up all that wisdom. Right? And so my piece of the pie is creative action. right? Because I know I can't do this all by myself. I could, but I'd probably wear myself out trying to do it, right? So my next step, my slice of the pie, is creative action. And it's to engage other people, partners, allies, collaborators, with helping me build this movement, right? Because we know that anything significant, anything enduring, you cannot do by yourself. You can't do it by yourself. So how do I engage other people? So what is your slice of the pie for your dream? What's your next step? Okay? So please just turn to the person next to you and take about 3-4 minutes and share what you wrote down about your dream, all right? And share what you picked as your slice of the pie, okay? So in groups of 2 or 3. Yeah. Welcome. That's okay. That's okay. Have you sort of caught up, or would you like a little catch up? You're good. You're good? Okay. How about you? Would you like to? Okay. Great. Yeah, just starting conversation here.
We're just going to all rooms. We're just helping out.
Ah, okay. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes. Okay. See you.
Take another minute, please. Another minute, please. Okay, if you would wrap up your conversations for now. And thank your learning partners if you haven't already. Okay, so I would love to hear, how many of you selected gratitude as your slice of the pie? Anyone? Okay. And half?
I mean, one of the things.
Okay, oh, one of the things. So you got 2 slices. Oh, okay. 2, 3. Okay. All right. So how many of you selected faith? Anyone? Okay, excellent. How about love?
Yeah.
Vision?
Vision.
Okay. Yeah. Integrity? Yeah, vision here too? Okay. Integrity? Okay. Creative action? Oh, yeah. Now, what's that about, right?
Actually, it's like all of us are, we're just sitting like, okay, we have love, we have faith, we have a vision, we have integrity. So now let's just do something about it.
let's put our foot on the gas, right? Yeah, good. And how many picked legacy? Anyone?
Yeah, my vision was that.
It all leads to legacy.
It all leads to legacy.
Yeah. Initially, I had said legacy, but you just spoke that creative action is necessary for legacy.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. So would anybody like to tell us a little bit about their dream? Kind of put it out there? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, sure. Come on up, please. Okay, and say your name, please. And
Hi. So my name is Tena, and my dream is to completely change the way we think about gender and completely change the gender leadership landscape globally. So you kind of accuse me of having a small dream. One word that always keeps coming up for me throughout my life has always been to empower, so that's kind of my theme. And the one thing that I chose on my pie was creative action, because it's all well and good when it's in your head and you're like, I have such a great idea, but unless you go and do something, you really don't have a great idea. So now is the time for me to really put all of the other 5 pieces together and to take it out there, and this was the first step.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you. Another one? Anyone? We have time for maybe one more. You're being volunteered. Okay. Say your name, please, and tell us about.
Thank you. I'm Ruth, and when I was sharing with my learning partners, for me it's quite a lot. So I said I want to be like the best mom, best wife, best corporate woman, because I am a corporate lady and I've got clear roles that I want to go into, board member and investor. So what I picked is faith, thank you, and vision. So vision for everything, like the corporate side, the investment side. I want to be a big investor, and then again, I know exactly what I want to invest in: big stuff, audacious stuff. That's one. Then the other side, I want to be I think I'm really a great mom. I need to be a great wife, and I was saying I need faith for that. I don't have the faith. That needs to grow.
Excellent.
Love is there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ruth. All right. Yeah. So, when you have a dream, you think about it. That's one time. Okay? That's one instance of your dream. When you write it down, that's 2. And when you declare it in public, guess what happens?
You get confident.
You get confident. What else happens?
You're responsible now.
Yeah, say that louder. You're what?
You're responsible now.
Yeah, say more.
Responsible?
Yeah,
and what more about that? Yeah, you have to take action.
Yeah.
I mean,
creative action.
Yeah, and you have to be true to yourself. Now that you've said it out
That's
loud.
right. Yeah.
You're so right.
Yeah.
You have to be true to yourself.
Yeah, you have to be true to yourself. Now you're in it. Okay? Okay? That declaration. So there's self-accountability. Okay, there's also accountability that you can have through other people. Okay, through your significant others, through whatever allies you have, collaborators you have, other dreamers that you have. When my husband and I went to Paraguay last year, my husband's here, John, we went as mission. We went on a mission as part of a group of about 200 coaches, executive coaches. We had been invited there by the president of Paraguay, and his mission, his dream, was to change the country. Okay? And I should say transform, because change and transformation are two different things. Change is part of transformation. So he brought us there to help him undo all of the corruption, generations of corruption. Okay, generations of young people leaving the country. Generations of elders leaving the country. Okay, the brain trust of Paraguay just kind of, leaking out. And this is cathedral building work. This will not be done next year. It won't be done the year after that. It won't be done 10 years from now. And so our work there was to help them learn how to fish, so to speak. Okay, so that they could cascade the work that we began with them last year into what they call a tipping point. Okay, a tipping point of the population. When we were there, we had reached out to a young man by the name of Fabio Chavez. And some of you have maybe heard of Fabio, don't know, but maybe you haven't heard of him. Perhaps you've heard of his orchestra. It's called the Landfill Harmonic Orchestra. Okay, this is an orchestra in Catura, Paraguay, and it literally is next to a landfill, this little community. And the people who live there used to be called garbage pickers. They would climb through mountains of trash, refuse, throwaways, to earn maybe the equivalent of 5 or 10 cents okay, a day. Fabio had a background as an environmental engineer, and his work was to help people at the landfill make more money, double their income. Okay, so he taught them how to sort through the trash. And along the way, he kind of got a sense of this intergenerational cycle of poverty, of neglect. Of teenage pregnancy, the cycle of drug addiction, one generation after the other. Now, Fabio also has a background in music, and his belief is that every piece of garbage has a voice. Every piece of garbage has a voice. And he got this bright idea that maybe they could take some of that trash, old bottles, old pipes, broken up keys, old spoons, old forks, baking sheets, tin cans, oil cans, dessert cans, anything, and make musical instruments out of them. And he uses these instruments now to teach the young people not only how to make music, but how to make a life. The music is the doorway. It's kind of the entry point. It's kind of the hook. But his real goal is to change the cycle of intergenerational poverty and pregnancy and abuse, and to change the values in this culture of Catura. I tell you this story because my husband and I reached out to Fabio hoping that he maybe could spend an hour with us. My husband's a maestro, he's a conductor, I'm a musician. And we were hoping for maybe an hour. We don't speak Spanish, he doesn't speak English. 3 or 4 days before we boarded our plane, he said, "Come on down, right? Come on over, we want to meet with you." And he gave us not an hour, not 2 hours, he gave us a whole day. And we just fell in love with Fabio and these young people. And we came back to the States, to Seattle, with our hair like on fire. We said, we gotta bring these kids here, we gotta help. And we had no clue about how to do this. We actually had no clue. It would take like thousands of dollars to bring these kids over. But we didn't care. We were on fire, right? And so we came back and we talked about our dream. Who does that remind you of? Okay, and we told people about our dream, right? And we reached out to our inner circle, right? Our peeps. And guess what? They caught the fire too. They caught the vision. They caught the dream, right? And they helped us raise thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to bring these kids to the Seattle area for a week and to house them, to feed them, to send money home with them for scholarships. never doubt the power of your dreams. Never doubt the power of your dreams. And never doubt the power of love and passion. When you're on fire, remember you burn with the, when you're passionate, you burn with the fire that requires no fuel. And other people want to come next to you and catch part of that fire, right? They want to be on fire too. Some people just want to watch you burn, I just want to tell you a couple of more things, and then we're going to have a little time for Q&A. Years ago, someone said, "Gloria, you ought to have a radio show." And I said, "Huh?" And they said, "Gloria, you ought to have a radio show. You have so many ideas. You have a beautiful voice. You love to talk." And so last year, I decided to launch my radio show. And I tell you that here because my goal is not to just talk at people. It really is to talk with people. So if any of you are interested in getting your ideas, your word, your dream out, talk to me. Perhaps you could be a guest on my show. I would love to host you. And the other part of my dream. So I caught my dad's vision about lifelong learning. And I get to travel all over the planet. I think I've been to every continent except where the penguins live. If they would understand me, I'd probably be there too. And many of the places that I go, that I'm called to go, don't have the kind of infrastructure, the communications infrastructure to support internet. But you know what? Everybody on the planet seems to have a cell phone. How about that? So this is internet radio that you can actually get on your cell phone. So my plan is to reach out to communities all over the world that cannot afford to come to a conference like this, that cannot afford the resources that you and I probably take for granted. And it's to make available this kind of information that we've, feasted on here at WEF, to make it available to people all over the planet for free. All you got to do is have a cell phone. Okay? And that's already covered. So I'm going to take a little pause for Q&A, and then I'm going to wrap up this session. Okay? So any questions, any ahas, any pearls that you'd like to share from this session? Anyone? Yes?
You talked about... Thank you very much. I think this has been extremely useful for me. You talked about having a big dream for your life and leaving a legacy. When you look back, and I think you've given us one or two examples, what has been an audacious dream that you had at a young age that you've seen really come to pass? What vision do you have and that you're currently working on?
That's a great question. So the question that Ruth just asked is, what has been my big audacious dream? I think I just told you a part of it, but I didn't realize that was part of my dream. Here's the thing about dreaming. We can dream, and we can dream big. We can dream hairy. We can dream audacious, but God has an even bigger dream for us. He has a bigger dream for our life. And I truly believe that my calling is to step fully into the gifts that God gave me and give them back. And to give them back to other people, to give them back to God, to give them back to other people, to help people live into their fullest and highest, to find and unleash their voice. Okay? And when I talk about voice, I'm talking about soul. I'm talking about why you are here on the planet. So my dream was that, and God said, guess what? I've got an even bigger dream for you. Okay? And when God calls, I try to respond and get out of the way. How do I know it's God's dream? Because I couldn't have dreamed this. I couldn't have dreamed it by myself. Okay? So So reaching this many people on the planet, like billions of people, 7.5 billion people. Okay, my goal is to reach the planet. Yeah, it's a pretty big, hairy, audacious goal, and it's God's size. It's not my size. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Others, questions? Ahas, pearls, hysteria?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for this amazing session. I mean, I kind of knew a few concepts about like gratitude and faith. I have a lot of faith, but series of this session has still yet been an eye-opener. And the story about your dad and your own story and everything. So I'm really, really grateful. And okay, I would want to ask you, like how do you, like I have several dreams, like various dreams. Like if I made a list, once I made a list, it was more than 70. And I have big, huge, audacious dreams. Okay, so just like you said, you want to reach out to all 7 billion people. I want to be one of the greatest personalities that ever lived the planet, and of all times. And I want to create an impact in all the lives that I touch, directly or indirectly. And so that, of course, involves helping a lot of people and uplifting mankind for the good and advancing the human race to such an extent that even after I live, it's like kind of have given them a push, and I could kind of just create that wave. So I want to do that. Meanwhile, I also want to live to my potential. Not like obviously giving back is important, but I want to. I believe in holistic living. And I'm not one of those people who think, I just want to kind of work in an NGO and not earn money for myself. So I want to be really rich. I want to be really brilliant. Like I am a psychologist, so I want to do amazing research and have my researches published in all the prestigious journals in the world. So I'm really academically oriented. I'm business driven, and I want to be a philanthropist in the future. So. I don't know, but like I would like to ask you this question right now. I'm kind of confused about what is it that I should follow, because wherever I work, it's like I have an option of kind of being an entrepreneur, but I'm both. I'm a psychologist as well as an entrepreneur, and I derive happiness, and there are value. Both of these aspects of our life are adding value to it in certain ways. So how do you know when it's the right time to discuss, which dream of yours? Yeah. There's several things you want to do, but because if you pay more attention to one, the other gets neglected, and it's maybe not picking up the speed. The creative action is not like consistently happening. For example, if I'm like in the day, first half of the day I'm working as a counselor with kids, and the second half of the day I want to build my business. Okay, but I'm often not able to kind of consistently give it as many hours as required. So. I'm sorry, it's like a really specific situation, and if you could tell me about timing, how do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's not an unusual question, but how do you know? Okay? So earlier I talked about calling. I didn't talk about work. Okay? It's a difference. I didn't talk about a job. I didn't talk about a career. I didn't talk about a position. I didn't talk about half my day doing this or doing that. In fact, the doing is really not the point. It's the being. Calling and vocation are, they're the same thing. In our culture, in the last 100 years or so, we've confused vocation with work. We say vocation, avocation. Work, hobby. Vocation, avocation. Vocation is calling. The root word of vocation is vox, voice. Vox is Latin for voice. Okay? Voice, in another way of thinking about voice, we think about the soul. Okay? In the old days, psychotherapists were called soul curators. Okay? Soul curators, yes. And this was only about 100 or so years ago. Okay? These days we have talk therapy. We sit in offices and we either get talked at or we get to talk to. That's a job. We're talking about calling. Your calling can have many different expressions. So it may express itself through your work in psychotherapy with children. It may express itself in the other part of your day this way. It may express itself in your family in another way, in your community in a different way. And so you can have all of those if you choose to have all of those. If you choose to. Okay? The question really to ask yourself about work is, what makes my heart sing? What makes my soul sing? What makes me want to jump up and go, yeah, I can't wait to do that. Okay? But vocation, calling is different. Okay? Calling is how we express our voice, our soul in the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? So don't get it confused with work. In my life, my calling is expressed in my work as an educator. I'm a leadership educator. I'm an author. I'm a leadership consultant. So I work in corporations all over the place. I'm an executive coach. Okay, I'm a parent. I'm a wife. And so my calling is expressed in all of those different aspects or arenas of my life. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay? And over the years, I've had to be very choiceful, very conscious about things that drain my energy, like that just make it leak out of my big toe. Okay? And I get it now that that's not the expression that's right for me at this particular time in my life. Okay? In this particular season of my life. So hopefully that's enough to help you kind of sort it out. And it's confusing, because we get all these messages about purpose and, find your purpose or find your path. No, I'm talking about calling. I'm talking about your unique reason for being on this planet. There's 7.5 billion people on the planet. Okay, in 20 years there'll be 9 billion of us. Mercy. Okay? But each one of us has a unique fingerprint. We have a unique footprint. We have a unique voice print. We have a unique soul print. Our responsibility is to bring that uniqueness here and now. Because if we don't, guess what? It'll never exist in any other form. It'll never exist in any other form. There'll never be another you.
It's like a cup.
There'll never be another you, or you, or you. We may all have the same kind of gifts and talents and skills and all of those things, but the expression is unique. It's unique. It's unique. What is your name? Soma. Somya? Yeah. Okay. So your expression is different than mine. It's different than all of these people around you. And if we don't bring it, the world won't have it. If we don't bring it, the world won't have it. Okay? Make sense? Yeah. All right. I don't know if we're out of time or not. Anybody keep a track of me?
Yes, 8:20, 8:25.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay. Are we overdue?
Overdue.
Oh my. Well then. Okay. Well, I just want to thank you very much for coming this evening and for participating and for just dropping in and identifying your dream and your next step. Bless you. You are so welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, you can tell I'm on fire about this stuff. Thanks again.
Staying overnight.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Yes. Just eating. Okay, do you have a group picture?
Yeah, that's good.
Let's have a
picture.
Yes.
Can we take a group picture, please?
They will love us.
Oh, thanks again for coming. Yes.
Can you take one on the phone, please?
Okay, everybody please for a group picture, that'd be great.
You could come in the center. Yeah.
I'll start at the back. Start behind you.
Please.
So press to me.
That's all right. You
Please come here. Please stand. Yeah.
more.
Oh, one more. Okay. all the bones.
One more after that.
Thank you. Thank you. This is not your calling. This is not your calling.
Excuse me? Could you please
Thank you so much. One more smile.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very nice.
I think like you made our evening, my day, our whole week, you know. It was so powerful. I mean, it really touched my
See you guys.
See you.
Bye bye.
Wait, it is full of